Hey guys, and welcome to Regrexit, Brexit Britain. A country who had head lice. Britain went to the chemist and bought some shampoo. Now, the packaging said, wash hair in warm water. Britain thought the hotter the better. So Britain boiled the kettle, went into the shower, and poured the boiling hot water over its head. And scalded the motherfucker. That's right. Also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages you sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages, but I have been very slack in answering messages and liking messages of late because I've been so bloody busy, right, for the start of this year. So it's been kind of hard work to do all of that. I mean, I've had so much to do. My days are like fusing into like 14 or 15 hours nowadays. So I will try and like all your messages. I will, yeah, as I said, I will try and like all your messages. So, looks like Kanye West, right, has got himself into trouble overnight, or Ye, as he's changed his name to. He's changed his name from Kanye to Ye. Right. But he looks like he's got himself in some type of trouble last night. I don't. All I've just seen is a very small report, right, saying that the police, either the police have put put out a warrant for his arrest, or they're looking for him to ask him questions about some type of battery. I believe last night. So we'll have to keep an eye to see what was going to go on there. Because, you know, the last place rappers want to end up is in prison, especially when you're multi-millionaires. Because that's not a nice place to be. And so we've got, and then we can speak about Mr Andrew Windsor. Because that's his title now. His title's the same as you and I. Actually, no. I've got a title, which is MC. Right? So I have that over him. I think he's only got one left, and I think that's going to be his genuine medal that he got from his time in the Falklands. Yeah, I think that's the only whatever title that is. I think that's the only one he's actually got left, because the Queen, yeah, has just stripped all of his everything. She just stripped everything, even his HRH, which the motherfucker was born with. The Queen was just like, no, I'm taking that back. And there's talk that he's never ever going to get these things back as well. But you know who it is? It's Charles and William, right? Because them two hate him, right? Especially William. William hates him. William can't stand him. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, I think William has taken the whole thing much more serious, yeah. Than, well, obviously they've all taken it serious, but William has really, he's really, because obviously William's future king as well. Do you know what I mean? So he is much more about the institution. Do you know what I mean? And the institution of the monarchy, yeah, cannot have, right, someone who who's said to be. Right. Well, actually, there's just a lot of allegations at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because, I look at this girl, this Virginia Dufresne, or whatever it is, right, and I don't trust her at all. Right, I do not trust her at all. Do you know what I mean? Right. So, I don't know what's gone on there, right? But you know something, I don't trust him, Andrew, and I don't trust her. Right. But she's put him. She has managed to do you know? The strange thing is, yeah, this year, right, was the last time, yeah, that she could bring civil charges against him, right? A civil case against him. So this year was the last year she could do it, and just so happened, yeah, it happens to be the Queen's platinum jubilee year, right? And the royal family don't want anything to interrupt that at all. Right? That's why Andrew's been made into a mister, because they don't want anything at all, right, to get in the way of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, right? So now, right, Andrew's just going to fight this case as like as a private citizen, I think he's got a good chance. I think he's got a good chance. Do you know what I mean? Because the courts have already said, you know what, we don't really trust this woman, right? And it's not because, right, it's not because the judge, right, you know, in the case the other day, it's not because the judge thought to himself, well, you know, he's got a case to answer, right? It's not because of that, right? The judge just said, you know what, yeah. She's got to have her day in court, yeah, because this agreement that she signed, yeah, doesn't cover Andrew, right? So therefore, right, it can't be used, right, because it doesn't cover Andrew. You know, in this country, it probably would have. I mean, he would have probably just been able to do that, yeah, you know, because remember all the judges, they're like, you know, over here, but in America it's different. So it's not that, you know, you can't say, oh, because they're letting the case go through, right, that he's guilty of anything, right? And you know, even all his medals and all that been taken, yeah, because I think it was about 125 ex generals and colonels, right, signed a letter to the Queen to say, listen, you know what, you need to take, you know, because he's not a good representation of us, right? But they didn't do that, yeah, because they think that he's had sex with a girl, with an underage girl. Do you know what I mean? Because remember, in this country, it wouldn't be anyway, because she's 17 years old. If he had sex with her in America, it would be, because, you know, their age of consent, I think it's 18, I think, right? But over here, obviously, it's 16 over here. So it'd be a different circumstance, right? But the reason why all of those ex colonels and generals wrote to the Queen, right, was because Andrew's association, right, with Epstein, right, who was a convicted, I don't think he was a convicted paedophile, was it? He was convicted of having sex with minors. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, because to be a paedophile, you've got to have sex with someone who's 12 years and under. Right, so you know, and then obviously after that, it's you're having sex with a minor, right? So it's a slightly different charge. Well, it's a much different charge actually, right? And so that's the reason why. That's the reason why he's been stripped of all his titles, and those colonels and generals wrote to the Queen because of his association. Right. And because of the interview with Emily Maitlis as well, you know, because that was just a massive car crash, because you know the Andrew, yeah, the best thing Andrew could have done, right, was just kept his mouth closed and just not said anything. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, he obviously, yeah, his brain's not functioning enough, right, for someone like Emily Maitlis. Do you know what I mean, right? And when you're speaking to those type of people, you've really got to, the answers that you give them, yeah, have really got to, you know, seem like they're really truthful, or people see straight through it, and like what happened to him, people just saw straight through him. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, and he might have even boxed himself into a corner now with this whole Pizza Express thing as well, because you know it's a situation where we guaranteed, yeah, that they would know where he was on that day, because obviously he's got like the royal protection with him, so he'll have a police officer with him at all times, and that police officer obviously got to keep a log of wherever he takes him, right? So we know, right, that he would know where he was. He probably could have checked to say exactly where he was. So I hope for his ass that he really was in that Pizza Express on that day, because if he wasn't, he's already put that story out. Right. So now so after that, now the only thing he can do, right, is he would have to pay her out. If he knows that he's lied about anything so far, what he said to Emily Maitlis, right, then he would know, right, that he has got to pay this woman out, right, and if he pays her out, right, that immediately looks like he's guilty, because really, in the first place, right, he should have never let it get this far. Should have never let it get into the media in the first place, because it's not as if to say, yeah, that this woman wouldn't have, you know, this woman's her solicitor or whatever would have contacted him to say to him, this person is going to take civil action against you for such and such and such and such. Right? At which stage Andrew could have got his lawyers to get in contact with them and say, listen, you know something, right? I don't need this in the media. So what is it she wants? right? That would have been the better way to deal with it. Not try and face it. Not try and face it out. Do you know what I mean? Because if you try and face it out, and you know to yourself, you know what, you know your association with Epstein, right? Your association, right, with him is not going to go well for you, right? So therefore, right, he should have tried to nip it in the bud from long time ago, but he didn't. Do you know what I mean? He just thought to himself, I could just face this down. No one's going to believe her. Do you know what I mean? And now he's got himself in so much problems, you know. So unfortunately, it's his fault. And Novak Djokovic, right? His visa has been revoked. So his ass has been asked to leave Australia, and the thing is, right, he's already been drawn into play his first game on Monday, right? So he's got until then to appeal. Right now, obviously Novak is minted, so he'll be able to get the best lawyers in Australia on the case, right? But whether or not, right, they're gonna say, you know what, they're gonna give him his visa. You know, I just think, there seems, well, first of all, right, the Australians are very strict on the whole COVID thing, and they have been from the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Which is the reason why. I don't know what the death count is in Australia, but I know it's nothing, right, like the 160,000 dead people in this country. Right, and you know what gets me is I'm still listening to people phoning the radio, right, and saying, "Whoa, oh, right, Corbyn and McDonald and Diane Abbott. What do you think they could have done a better job?" Yeah, because you know what, anybody could have done a better job than Boris Johnson. A small child could have done a better job than Boris Johnson. You know where Boris Johnson has taken this country to. Yeah, you know. I think the only place, there's no, I don't think there's anybody else, right, that went in to be prime minister, right, that could have done this much damage. Because I don't know if people actually realise, yeah, but Boris Johnson, yeah, has done about 100 years worth of damage in 2 years. Well, it's not even 2 years yet. But let's just say 2 years. He's done over 100 years worth of damage to this country. And these people, I don't understand what these people are not seeing. Right? Because, I don't consider myself to be smarter than any of them. Right? But I can see the complete damage that Boris Johnson has done. And I don't understand how they can't. But they seem to, these guys seem to have their head in the clouds over this whole shit. But anyway, well, so as I said, Australians, they've taken like the whole COVID thing very seriously. Do you know what I mean? And this is the reason why, right, Novak, his visa has been rescinded, because they've looked into it and they said, well, you know what, because you had COVID doesn't mean that you can doesn't mean it don't mean nothing to us, basically. Do you know what I mean? So the Australians, yeah, as I said, they've been very strict, right, on the whole COVID thing, and that's the reason. And you have to look at the way how that government has handled the COVID, right. The whole situation of Djokovic, they've handled just really stupid. It's just been, they've handled it as if they're Brexiters. But the COVID situation, I mean, it seems they care much more, yeah, about about human life rather than their economy. Right? You see, because over here we're going up with the people that are, no, the economy. Right? People phoning the radio and saying that Boris Johnson, he's doing his best. Right? And you think to yourself, seriously, are you people just stepping over the 160,000 dead people? Is that what you're doing? That's what I have to. That's what I'm saying this to the radio. I'm speaking to the radio when I hear these people. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I don't get. I don't get this level of insanity. I think it's got to be. As I said, I've always said, yeah, that the racist gene is the thing that does it, right? Because that that gives people a level of insanity where they do things, yeah, where, you know, I just don't think they would normally do. Do you know what I mean? Like in a normal life, if it wasn't for the race factor that's in the way, I just don't think there's things that they just would be like, no, I wouldn't put up with that, right? But you know, once you put that race factor in the way, they were like, no, you carry on, yeah, you carry on. Right? It's like they would, you know, it's like they would allow you to drown kittens in front of them. And they'd be like, well, is that going to get the immigrants out? If you drown 10 more, how much immigrants can we lose if you drown 10 more kittens? Like, seriously, do you know what I mean? This country's whack. But as I said, Novak, right, has now been asked to leave Australia again. And so we got more party revelations. So last night, yeah. Let's speak about an energy company first. And no, it's not OVO. Today it's Eon. Right? Now Eon, right, have been sending socks to their customers. Do you know what? Yeah, it's insulting, right, and it's downright motherfucking rude, right? And you know, if I am an Eon customer, but I ain't had no socks yet, right? But if I in the Caribbean, if you got socks from the energy company, we'd be vexed, right? Because they're just taking the absolute piss, right? You got one of them telling you to do star jumps. At least this one's actually sent you a product. I mean, they could have sent you a cat. That's what it could have done, right? Or just send you a polar. Actually, that's what the Brexiteers need to be cuddling. A polar bear. Yeah, or brown bear. That would be the thing for the Brexiteers to cuddle, right? But you know, so one of them is telling you to, like, you know, to do star jumps, and the other one's sending you socks. I think to myself, have these people, right, seriously not got any advisors? All right. You know, forget the Wally alarm. They need an alarm that says stupidity, right? You know, and lights just start flashing, right? You know, the minute, you know, and it's just attached. It's just attached to the emails and that they write, and it's every minute. You know, whenever they're writing an email, right? When they put something that's just ridiculously stupid in there, you just get these bright lights and everything. Stupidity. Seriously, these guys, you know, I think that they've got to be, you know, both those companies have got to be run by Brexiters, because that level of stupidity, right, can only come from a Brexiter, right? You couldn't because you couldn't make this shit up, right? But remember, what you got to remember, yeah, is that all these people that you know these people that run these companies, yeah, these are all multi-millionaires, so they have no clue, right, what the working classes' lives are really like. You know, especially like, you know, your working class Tories, they would have no clue what their lives were like, because, you know, but remember, you know, your working class Tories, they live just like, you know, like your Dominic Raab, you know, when he goes to Crete and stays in a 3,500 pounds a night resort. What is it, £3,500 a week? Whatever it is, it's 3,500. And I know a lot of the working class Tories, right, are going to them same resorts. There's some horseback riding on the beach and all them things there. Do you know what I mean? You remember, yeah, you don't even have to mess about with the Germans, right? For, you know, come down at 5 o'clock in the morning and put your towel over the beach chair. You don't have to do none of them things there when you're staying in the resorts where Dominic Raab is staying. But I understand all them working class Tories, they'll all be in the same places anyway. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, so that's the energy companies. The energy companies, yeah, are just taking the absolute piss. Right? They know that everything's going to start biting people, and they're just like, you know, well, it's just how things are, isn't it? Right. So we've got more party revelations in Downing Street. Right. It seems, right, that the day before, no, sorry, the night before the day of the Queen's husband's burial, these guys were partying in Downing Street. Right? They had the flag outside on half-mast. not only one party, there's having two parties in there. Right? A leaving do, yeah, for James Slack, right, head of communications, right, who was leaving, right, to go and be the editor, I believe, of the Sun newspaper. I think, well, is that why this story wasn't in the Sun newspaper? That there was two parties in Downing Street, right, on the night of the day before the Queen's husband's funeral. These guys had a DJ and everything. And I'm like, well, how the fuck didn't I get that booking? I could have come down then. I could have come down then and done some MC work. Look, I got my mic right here. I could have got, and I would have gone too. It's in the Prime Minister's house, so he makes the rules. You know, man, tell me to Prime Minister invite me. Well, the Prime Minister's people, because the Prime Minister wasn't actually at there. The Prime Minister was in Chequers. But I don't really, in the great scheme of things right now, yeah, I don't really think that matters, because you see, the Prime Minister, right, sets the tone for what goes on around him. And if people think to themselves, you know something, yeah, we don't even know Boris is going to be good with this. We keep a party, Boris will be good with this. He's okay, we know that. It's Boris. It's going to be killed. Right? Because, you know, 5 minutes after Boris took that lashing in Parliament on Wednesday, right, got his ass handed to him on a plate, he's gone into the canteen and said to the Tory MPs, listen, you know what, they're blaming us for stuff we haven't even done. Stuff we're not responsible for. Wow. So after you took that grilling, you're still, that's how, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be sheepish. You're supposed to go and get in your ministerial motherfucking car and get your ass back to 10 Downing Street and tell people you got COVID-19. Which he has, which he's actually, right now, yeah, Boris is isolating, right? When he doesn't actually need to. Someone close to him must have tested positive, right? Or at least he's saying that. Probably the policeman that was on the door the night of the party, right? Who's tested positive. So Boris is just like, but you see, this is the thing, right? When you see, Boris doesn't understand how shit works, right? And shit works like Wednesday. That's when you should have come down with the COVID thing. Right, and not taking your ass into the Parliament. Right, have 10 days off for the COVID thing, right, and hope that all this shit blows over. Right, that's what you should have been doing, instead of going there looking like a goddamn fool. Right, and now you're in a situation where you've now gone into hiding. So he's gone into hiding. He's been in hiding for probably about a week or so. But as I said, he doesn't actually need to do that, because all he needs to do is just get tested. And if he's not carrying COVID, I think the new government regulations say, well, you don't have to be isolating. But you know, obviously, Boris has found himself a much bigger fridge to hide in. Right? So we've got I've just seen the Tesco. I've just seen the boss of Tesco's, right? Speaking about food prices, right, saying, you know, we're going to try and keep food prices as low as possible. Now, as soon as you hear people from Tesco's coming out and saying that, you know there's going to be a sharp increase. Because remember, a lot of the lorries are blocked up. A lot of our lorries are blocked up at our ports at the moment. Our ports at the moment are really fucked up. Right? But if you notice, they're not saying anything about it. Right? They're not saying nothing about it at all. I mean, it's like, you know, sometimes I think it must be Brexiteers in charge of all these media. Oh, actually, sorry, it is. Right? So they're not saying anything about it, but it's all blocked up, and that's the reason why we're going to start having higher food costs, right? Plus, all the new red tape, right, is going to give us higher cost as well, because when you import stuff in now, obviously, it's going to cost more money because all the red tape that these guys have got to start paying. Right, so right, we've got to expect higher food costs. So we're probably going to have even more food banks in this country, because you know we've already got more food banks than McDonald's in this country. Right, so we're going to have even more food banks in this country. So it's going to be, you know, Food Bank Britain Part 2. In fact, you know, regrets it, Food Bank Britain Part 3. Right? That's what it'll be. Right? So let's speak about some Brexit. Right? So Andrew Bridgen, right? A man whose head is so square, right? That you could draw a straight line. Like that's what they could use his head for, drawing straight lines. Because this man's head is so square. Just thought, if Andrew Bridgen and Emily Thornberry was together, because her head is squarer than a motherfucker too. Her head is so square, right? Both these people have got a head like a box, right? So it could be Andrew and Emily Box if them two was together, right? And if they walked in and that was their name, Joe, you couldn't do anything but laugh, right? If their surname was Box and they was married, right? Because both of their heads is just as square as each other. Right, so goddamn square, right? So Andrew Bridgen, right, has decided to put his head above the parapet. Andrew Bridgen, yeah, he's one of them mad Brexiters. When I tell you he's a mad Brexiter, he's a fucking crazy motherfucking Brexiter. Right? And he's put his letter in, right, to the 1922 committee to have Boris Johnson ousted from power. Right? I think, wow, this guy. When I tell you, yeah, he is a mad Brexiter. Right, he is near enough as crazy as self-named Steve Baker. Self-named Brexit hardman Steve Baker. Because he named himself. I didn't realise this. I thought it was a name that was given to him, but he decided to name himself the hardman of Brexit, Steve Baker. Now, already, yeah, if a man's going to give himself a name, he can give himself a name like that. He can say, yeah, I'm a hardman. That's my name. That's my nickname, the hardman. Oh, you come with like Zeus, Leo, Lion, right? Those are the type of name a man's going to come with. A man's going to say, yeah, call me Bruce. Those are the type of names a man's going to come with. And hardman Steve Baker, self-named. But he's handed his letter in, right? So he wants Boris Johnson out. So I'm sure he's part of the English racist group, the ERG, as well. And they've got about 55 members, and they only need like 50. I think it's 54 letters, right? And obviously you've got a lot of backbenchers already who have probably put letters in, but most of them, yeah, will do it on the quiet, because a lot of them are new intake, so they'll do it on the quiet because they'll be scared. They'll be scared, and they don't really want people to know, because it is a secret. It's a secret thing. But obviously Andrew Bridgen, Mr Squarehead, right, has he's just put his head above the parapet and said, "You want you out, done. Don't care how much of a Brexiter you are, right? These party's revelations is far too much now, right? With the Queen, right, sat there by herself, right? You're keeping parties. No, that can't happen, right? So the M20, sure it's the M20, yeah, is going to be blocked up for the next year. And you know what that's due to? That's due to Brexit. Right? And that's due to you motherfuckers voting. Especially you people in Kent. Because that's your motorway. Right? And that shit's going to be blocked up, right, for the next year. Because then, they need to I think they probably need to widen and all that type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's the one that leads straight into the must be the one that leads straight into the docks, right? So so they're going to need to do some work around there, because all of the new congestion that's going to be around there. So and remember, yeah, none of this, right? They said it's going to be a year with the works, right? But none of this ain't going to get any better anytime soon. This is this shit's just going to get a lot worse. Right, and at the moment, yeah, we've got a one of our trade ministers, right? So it must be one of the junior trade ministers, right, up in Delhi right now, right? Getting ready to sign this, trying to push through this trade deal with India, right? And obviously, it's going to be it will be a visa free, right? So I don't know, I don't know if the Brexiters understand this yet. I don't know if they understand what a trade deal means with India. I don't know if they, but I will tell you, it means freedom of movement. But in saying that, we'll be able to go to India and work as well. So good news after all. Anyway, guys, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm DMT John Ribs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.